In this week's episode, we're going to look at why marketing for a professional services business that's a coaching business is completely different than marketing for any other sort of professional services. The thing about coaching is that nobody understands what it is. People don't know what we do. Or worse, they think they know exactly what we do and they're wrong. I've got some really highly intelligent friends who have said things like, well, I don't want to talk to somebody who's just going to ask me a lot of questions. If I'm going to work with somebody, I want them to transfer knowledge. They just categorically don't understand what the benefit of coaching is. They don't understand what the process of coaching is, let alone anything else. And the other kind of individual are those who know exactly what coaching is and they're wrong. Or they're wrong about what our sort of coaching is. I've even had a taxi driver hand me a business card and say, oh, here you go, looks like we're in the same business. And it took me a moment to realise that actually what he was talking about was he thought I was a coach driver. I've also been asked if I was a netball coach, but that's a whole different story. The reason that marketing a coaching business is so hard is because nobody knows what we do. If you are an accountant or a lawyer or an architect or a dentist or a therapist or counsellor, people know what you do. They know when they're likely to need your services. And so, as a lawyer, you may say, oh, I'm a civil litigation lawyer, I'm not a family lawyer, and people will know what that means. And if you are a therapist, you might say that you work with post-traumatic stress disorder, but you don't work with under 18s, and people would understand that. But if you're a coach, people really struggle. They really struggle. And so our job is to help them understand what we do, but we don't do that by talking about the coaching process. Now, this is where it all gets a little bit complicated because we love the coaching process. We absolutely love it because we believe in it and we know it works and we know it transforms lives. It's transformed our lives. That's how we know. And so we want to talk about the coaching process. We want to explain to people that they'll have these light bulb moments that light up the room. But people don't buy processes. People aren't even interested in processes. They don't want to know about the process. They want to know what the outcome will be. What will they get from working with you? And when somebody doesn't understand the coaching process, if you say, well, I'll ask you a lot of questions and they'll be really powerful questions and I'll listen to you very carefully, that doesn't sound like anything other than something that somebody's wife or husband could do, does it? Explaining the coaching process isn't the way to go. And here's the thing, there is one category of person who will buy the coaching process, who absolutely will buy the coaching process, and that's coaches. And that's why there are so many coaches who sell to coaches. And that's why I have so many conversations with people who say, well, I had a business coach, but it didn't work and I didn't get any clients. Because here's the thing, you can't coach across a knowledge gap. And that's what these coaches do. They realise that the only people that can get excited about the coaching process are other coaches. And so they set themselves up to help coaches find clients because that's what coaches want, isn't it? But unless you're being taught a marketing process, then coaching on its own isn't going to help. So, how do we market a professional services business when people don't know what we're talking about? I know that I sound like I'm banging on about this whole idea of having a niche and having an ideal client within that niche. But I promise you that defining a niche and choosing a target client within that niche is the fastest way to generate interest. Now, that doesn't mean that the kind of client that you've identified within that niche is the only kind of client that you're ever going to work with. And it doesn't mean that the problem that you've identified is the only problem you're ever going to coach around. Because we know as coaches that people come to you with a problem, and then by session 3, it's a completely different thing. The problem that they thought it was isn't at all, and we've moved on, and now we're coaching their whole lives. You know, their whole lives are on the table. It wasn't just that one thing at all. And that's the point of this kind of marketing. The problem that you identify that they're struggling with, the reason that you talk about that is to hook them into a conversation. It's like a little flashlight, if you will, or a little red flag that goes, hey, I'm talking about you. Why don't you come and talk to me? And in understanding that particular problem that that particular kind of client has, that really does feel massive to them, that we know that coaching can help them overcome, it makes them feel understood. It makes them feel like you understand them because, hey, you joined the conversation that's already going on in their head. Now, as a lawyer, you don't need to do that. As an accountant, you don't need to do that. And it's really important that we recognize that as coaches, this marketing thing is a tough gig because it isn't the same as marketing other professional services. And so what that means is we have to work at it. We can't just put out a flyer that says, hey, I'm a coach and I've opened my new coaching practice, because it doesn't mean anything to people. So you find your niche, you identify your ideal client within that niche, you particularly find the problem that's keeping them awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you put yourself where they are. Now, other professional services still need to put themselves where their clients are, but they don't have to spend so much time avoiding talking about what they do because people already understand what they do. So good luck. It may be trickier to market a coaching practice, but it certainly isn't impossible. Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a single episode. I really look forward to helping you thrive in your coaching business.